Hello, folks. This is Amner Hunter from Amner Hunter Studios, your host, and I'm very happy to be sharing the third tutorial of my mixing series video tutorials that I started like 2 weeks ago, more or less. So I'm really happy. I'm really thrilled to be sharing this knowledge about mixing with you. If you haven't checked out my previous videos, I will put the link on the description and here on the screen, so you can watch them because it's very important to know all this stuff about mixing, but from the background material, from the root. So the last topic was about patterns of frequency distribution, and now we are going to move on to the next topic, which is called time domain. Time domain, well, thus far we have analyzed sounds in terms of frequencies, and indeed this type of analysis called frequency domain, which we checked out previously, is a very useful way to analyze them. But there is another way to analyze sound that is important to understand for the purpose of mixing, which is in terms of their waveforms. This type of waveform-based analysis is called time domain analysis. Time domain analysis essentially means looking at a sound not in terms of the sine waves that make the sound, but in terms of the patterns of disturbance that it causes in whatever medium it is traveling through. Air molecules, a human eardrum, a speaker cone, or the electrical signal in an audio cable, for instance. The intensity of the disturbance that the sound causes at any given instant is called its amplitude. The sound of a sound is determined by its patterns of changing amplitude, its waveforms, in other words. And when you combine two sounds, for instance, if you play them simultaneously through the same medium, their time domain disturbances are added together. The instantaneous amplitude of the resulting sound at any given time is a simple mathematical sum of the instantaneous amplitudes of the separate sounds. This is why the final stage of mixing, combining the separate mixer tracks into one master track, is sometimes called summing. It literally is just a matter of taking the sum of everything into one piece. So it is important to understand that any sound can be analyzed both in the frequency domain and the time domain. You can look at a sound as a collection of sine waves, or you can look at it as a pattern of disturbance in a medium. Both perspectives are useful for different things. And I have here a picture where you can see this is the frequency domain. You can analyze the sound in terms of frequencies or waves. You see here, and this is the time domain. For example, from here to here, it is the very the highest volume. So this is what they call amplitude, where the peak is actually. So you see here that instead of being in waves, you see a straight line, and right here in the highest peak, it's called the amplitude. For example, here, if you analyze the sound when time domain, you will check here that this is the amplitude, and this is going to be another amplitude right here. This everywhere where the peaks are is going to be the amplitude, like this, for example. So it's very easy to understand, I think. Let's not dive more into it. We just have to understand that these are the two ways that we can analyze the sound, and in mixing we are going to find both. we can use both ways of analyze the sound. So one thing I want to do here also is I have two tracks here. One is of a vocal recording, and one is of a piano recording. So right here I'm going to put the box, for example, and I'm going to open up the mixer.
The judgment meant for us, and in this death I tremble.
For example, here on the mixer we see the signal input right here. So this we can see that this signal is being analyzed through time domain, because it's telling me the amplitude of the sound coming in. So for example, I'm going to put the sound again, and I'm going to open this this way of analyze the input. It's going to show me the peaks.
And in this death I remember the rebellion of my
and right here
heart.
On this meter, it's analyzing where the loudest peaks are, minus 16.1 decibels. So
if
I click on it, it will refresh.
My peace in the suffering of one.
And we see that this sound is going out to the stereo out, or to the master bus. It could be called stereo out or master bus, and it's the same, right? It's the same. It's peaking at the same level. And another way to analyze this, for example, is
knowing that these hands and feet.
For example, I'm going to open a frequency analyzer. This is the spectrum from 20 Hertz to 20K. I'm going to put the audio again.
But in this death I find my peace in the suffering of one, knowing that these hands and feet prove the saving work is done. From ashes to beauty.
Okay, so we see here that it's analyzing the frequencies of the recording, and this is the frequency domain, what we checked out later. Earlier. So this is the frequency domain type of analyze sounds. And another way, I'm going to show you this another metering. I'm going to put the same recording. We see here also the spectrum from 20 Hertz to 20K, but it is analyzing the frequencies in terms of its amplitude. So you see here that the amplitude is different across the entire spectrum, and so this is one way to check, to analyze it.
I find my peace in the suffering of
and one interesting thing that we checked out in the previous comments that I said about this is that, for example, I'm going to put this
knowing that
right here.
Hands and feet
is the same, right? The master bus. So when I add the other track, it's going to be the sum of both amplitudes. It's going to be sum and put to the master bus.
An inheritance of nations won.
So we see that now is different here, the signal. So we combined the two signals, and the sum of the amplitudes is going to the master into one track, one stereo track.
He's victorious.
We see here that the peaks are higher here than here because
And in this
it's the sum of this. That's why sometimes it's called summing, when the mix, the entire mix is going to one track only. So there you have it, folks. I hope that you find this tutorial useful. Stay tuned for more tutorials. This probably, for some of you, it might be a little boring or something, but it is very necessary to check this content in order to be able to go to the next stage of mixing. It's very important material to know, because in mixing we are going to be dealing with a lot of this. So thank you very much, and don't forget to subscribe, to leave me your comments. If you have any doubts or something, just sending out to me via Facebook, YouTube, or my Gmail, and I will be more than glad to answer. So thank you very much, folks. Have a great day or night, and we'll see you next time. All right, bye.